lay my notes out.
All right. Hi, this is Kathy Sparrow, and we're here with I think it's our third recording of our authors from Ignite Your Leadership, proven tools for leaders to energize teams, fuel momentum, and accelerate results. And Lynden Kidd is here today, and her contribution to our book is Positivity Works, the Heart of Employee Engagement. I love the heart of employee engagement. That's cool.
Thanks. No, it is the heart. I mean, if we're engaged and working well, it's our heart. It's our vocation. I'm hearing an echo. Are you?
I am too. Let's turn it down just a little bit. Hopefully that's better. Yeah, I don't hear one now.
I don't hear one either.
Good. We're good to go.
Good. Okay.
So, summarize your chapter.
I didn't get that.
Cortana wants to join us. I don't know if you've upgraded to 10 yet, but she's a little annoying.
Siri?
No, Cortana. She's
honey, I'm an Apple user. That's the other side.
That's true.
That's right. Yeah. So, although mine wanted to talk to me today. I was teaching this morning. So, so anyway, let's start again.
Yeah.
Summarize your chapter. What is the essence of your message in this chapter?
The essence. It's that we, up until now, have focused, and it's natural for us to focus on fixing things. Our focus in our corporate culture is to fix people and to fix what's not working, and so we tend to focus on the negative side of the world, of the world around us, and part of that's hardwired in our glorious super functioning brains, because it's designed to keep us safe. But that hardwiring that focuses on the negative tends to create kind of a bad corporate situation where we could do so much better if we just realize that when we're really aligned with who we are, what we want to be doing, and what's the best about the companies that we're working in, then we thrive and we have an opportunity to truly create a feeling of working from our heart in that vocation, if you will, that true calling, where everything lines up and makes a difference, not only to us in our day-to-day world, not as employees and as people who go home after work, but for our employers too. So that's really it. And I spent a lot of time looking at the concept of employee engagement, and I think I've been around the block enough times that I realized in the old days it was employee satisfaction that we were talking about. But employee engagement is actually a step further than just simple satisfaction. And it's, how truly, and for lack of a better word, engaged are we with the work that we do. And in 2014, 83% of 1,200 employees surveyed wanted to move on and do something different. That's a lot.
That is a lot. That's like, yeah.
And then in later Gallup surveys, we find that somewhere between 20 and 30% of the workforce is actively disengaged. And what that means is that you have people sitting next to you or in the office next to you who literally quit and forgot to tell you. Or if you're the employer, they're holding the space and doing the minimal. And so when we find good employees and we want to keep the good, rich, talented employees who are the heart of the growth of any business, how do we do that when we have them coupled with these folks who quit and forgot to tell us?
And before we get to the how, let's define the difference between satisfied and engaged.
I think engaged is, and I talk about in the chapter, I talk a lot about how you feel valued, because part of this concept of positivity means that we're doing the work in a way that is meaningful to us. So let me talk for a second about, let me find my page, because I actually made some notes on that, and we want to talk about having our employees. Well, first we want to fix the culture and not the people. So we need to realize that it's not necessarily the individual employees that have challenged. Those folks that quit and forgot to tell us aside, but it's the rest of them. And we want to fix the culture, not the people. We want to develop people who are natural energizers. And we've all seen them. We've all worked with them. We've all had the pleasure of connecting with them. So we want to continue to build on those natural energizers. And then
I'm going to enter who comes to mind, who's part of our book.
Oh, there's several.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Pete's the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, we have a lot of energizers in our book.
We absolutely, Jane, Natalie, you name it. Well, even you. I mean, not even you, but you know what I mean.
Even me. Oh yeah.
I think all of us kind of can have that label applied to us. But going back to what we want to do to answer your question, we want to be sure we allow employees to use the skills that they're good at, to be known for their expertise. In other words, to allow them to have that recognition. And the third step is to be recognized for what they're good at. And then to align the company's purpose and values with the individual's sense of purpose and value. And then to have employees know what their career development options are. So what we have then is a performance culture where performance evaluations become value aligning discussions between the company and the individuals.
I was just going to ask you, how do we align individuals with a company culture? How does that, how do you create that buy-in?
Well, and so, there's some companies that are doing it brilliantly, but you do it together is really part of it. I mean, you don't have a board or leadership kind of lofty on high making decisions for the benefit of the company without enrolling the company in the employees in contributing to the conversation. So there's a deep cultural activity that takes place where they talk about what it is that they do and why they do it and the purpose behind what they do, what the value is that they add to the either products that serve the products that they make that serve people, or the people that they serve with their products. Mm-hmm. And so once there's that kind of really grassroots clarity about why they're there, it goes back to a lot of what we have learned and worked with in our work with Jack Canfield, where once you're clear why you're there, when you're very clear about your purpose, then so many other things line up along that purpose. And so I get to the point where we find with that alignment a sense of purpose, that when we know what our personal alignment is with the company's sense of alignment, that's where engagement is different than just employee satisfaction. Mm-hmm. Because we all have times in our work day, work life, work times, periods, seasons, if you will, when no matter what happens, work doesn't feel good. It's just, it's life. But unlike that group of people who I talked about who quit and just are kind of limping by, when there's a recognition that people can become disengaged for whatever reason, it might be something personal going on with them, it's a lot easier for those individuals who are going through a disenchanted period to become reignited by the work that they do, when there's that awareness of the two cultures coming together, the individual culture, the individual sense of purpose, and the company's sense of purpose, and the culture that comes around fostering that for both entities. So we have an authentic alignment that happens when we have the individual, and the individual knows who they are, and the company knowing who they are and what their purpose is, and bringing all of those together. It's easier to stay satisfied when you buy into the big picture more, is kind of the bottom line with that.
That's good. That's cool.
So the purpose becomes the mantra in corporate America, whether we're talking about a millennial workforce or a 50-plus workforce. Because when you peel back the layers on all of those groups, at the end of the day, they all want to know that what they're doing serves a higher purpose.
That's
or a greater purpose.
Yeah, I am teaching one of my compositions classes around innovation, and we were just reading part of the book "Creating Innovators," basically a guidebook for parents and teachers, and the bottom line is that our workforce is, while money is important, money is very important, really what we desire is that sense of meaning. Like you said, that our work matters.
At the end of the day, that time investment is producing a result that gives us some satisfaction, some sense of true purpose. So when employees are using skills that they're good at, known for their expertise, recognized for the good that they do, know their career development options, and then they have that internal alignment between their own values and the company's values, then they have a chance to thrive. And the next step to that is, from the employer's perspective, getting out of the way and letting them do what they do well. So the other element associated with this is then we give them autonomy to do the kind of work that they want to be and are wired to do. And in that sense of autonomy, we give them autonomy over the task. So we don't micromanage, we don't tell them how to do it. We give them autonomy over the time, so flexibility with deadlines or a combined decision-making around deadlines. We give them autonomy over team. We don't necessarily tell them who they have to work with to accomplish their goals. We allow them that flexibility to either work with management to create the teams that are appropriate, or to choose the teams kind of organically, if you will, as happens in many really creative cultures. And the last is then we give them autonomy over the technique that they use to achieve their goals. And so now we're talking about the employee having a sense of goals to accomplish, autonomy to accomplish the goals. But the other thing we learn when we study this information is that it's not necessarily the pursuit and the achievement of goals that makes the difference. It's the striving. So then we get wiser as we manage our folks, and we have just given them all this autonomy. But we've also taken the goal apart, so we've chunked it down and made it more, we've made it easier to see how it's going to come together, because we've taken it into pieces, and then we can celebrate along the way the various pieces of the bigger goal coming together. So one of the other things we tend to do in corporate America, in this country, is not do a good job of celebrating our little successes. And so in addition to kind of focusing on the what's not working, the negative side of the effort, we also tend to, and this happens, I mean, I bet you could name any number of professional evaluations where the manager said to you, Kathy, I really like what you're doing, but, and it's almost like the minute you get to the but, you've negated anything good that you've said that came before.
Right.
But we're not likely to say, oh, you're doing everything perfectly, don't change a thing. That's not what the manager's getting incentivized to do.
Right.
The manager's getting incentivized to manage. And we've made the assumption that managing then meant we needed to add our own perspective on how people should do things better.
Yeah.
And the reality is, when it comes from within, when it comes kind of organically out of that sense of mission and purpose and being very values driven, then you have a different conversation around how you're going to do things different and how you achieve goals and what it feels like to be in the striving. So what we find is the people that are the most positive and the most, who feel the most aligned, are those that are in that striving, who know that they've got a 30, 60, 90, even 180-day window in which they're working on something that's objective and measurable. Mm-hmm. And the company is supporting them in getting to that objective and measurable place, and then celebrating and not, the example I'm going to give you is moving the goalposts so that they never get to that point and don't ever have a chance to celebrate. Mm-hmm. So how many times have we heard of, a company getting really, really close? Let's say they have a really wonderful quarter. Well, do we say to them the next quarter, oh, do the same again, rah, rah? No, we say do better.
Right.
And then as they get closer and closer to doing better, what do? Oh, we say do even better. So we keep moving out this opportunity for success, and we keep moving. I call it sunsetting, where we push the opportunity for realizing success over the horizon so much that we never get to feel that kind of satisfaction that leads to happier and more engaged employees. So let me see. Let me regroup with my notes for just a second.
Sure. In fact, I had several questions and they escaped me as we were talking because I was like, oh, I knew what I was going to comment. Even as individuals, we often don't celebrate our daily wins.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the to-do list that never ends, and I use my little notes function and I make my list, and then if I don't get anything done, it goes to the next day. But I've already got a list started for that day because there's already things scheduled, So it's like I was getting into that pattern. Oh, look what I got left to do. But instead of going, wow, look at what a marvelous day today was. Look at all the wonderful things that happened.
Truly. Yeah. I coach when I'm working with people who are in career transition or looking for a new opportunity, and I talk about getting to the end of their day. In a perfect world, I would have them keep a log of their activities. And I want them to know their failures, mostly because I want them to learn from them.
Right.
But I also want them to recognize all the good stuff that happens. And what we talk about is you can have a perfectly wonderful day where you achieved all sorts of connections with individuals and created opportunities to move forward. And you can have that one bad interaction, and you'll get to the end of the day, and what shapes your day? That one bad interaction.
It does. Yep.
Our challenge is to rewire and to figure out how to rewire. And there's a lot of really brilliant, much more brilliant than I people out there who are talking about ways to do that rewiring. And one of them is what you just alluded to. When you get to the end of the day and you think back on your really, truly wonderful day, if you can at least hold that sense of wonder about the day for at least 10 seconds, you can stay in that state. You start retraining your brain to look for more positive things and not be as on the alert for the bad things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know when my daughter was younger, it's a little harder to do it as a teen. But part of what our bedtime ritual was just that. I would ask her to share with me things that were successes for her. So tell me something that, give me 3 wins or 3 things that brought you joy today. And then share with me one opportunity you had where you served someone else.
Ooh, I love that.
And then we would kind of wrap up that's how we would put our brain to bed. And so she knew that the next day I would ask her to share with me 3 good things that had happened to her, 3 wins. And that set her up for looking at her next day, looking for those things that she would share with me at night. So the discipline, if you will, of keeping a success and failure log is that you're recording those so you have the opportunity to savor the successes and then to know, at least cognitively, that maybe there was a failure that you could learn from. Because what we're trying to do is not recognize failure as failure, but as a learning opportunity. And that's what makes the difference for those folks, especially deep in the job search.
I think I'm inspired to start doing that again. I used to do it on a nightly basis. I do a gratitude journal. And when I'm walking my dog, either at night or in the morning, I'll just say gratitudes, but I think I need to start doing that.
The discipline of writing it.
Yeah.
A big difference.
Writer, right?
Yeah, well, writer. But when you're walking your dog and you come up with your 5, then when you get home, it's easy to just make a note. Unless you want to journal more about them, but.
Well, yeah. And I do a 15-minute journaling practice in the morning. So that's I should add the wins to that. Thank you.
Sure. Well, and that's how I start mine.
Okay.
I start with my wins. So, and then that leads me into my journaling practice.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I just kind of flip it. All right. Did you have another question while I'm looking at my notes?
No. Other than a comment, I think it's awesome that you do that with your teenage daughter. And
we're not always successful.
Well, I know that, but I think it's I know because she's a teenager now. But it's a good practice. It's a really good practice.
Well, it's good for me too.
Yeah.
Because if I know she has to do it, sometimes she says, "So what was yours, Mom?"
Oh, yeah.
So then I'm aware of it as well. Okay, so retraining our brain for good, alignment. One of the pieces in my chapter, Kathy, was the conversation around the MBA oath. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So to give a little background, in I believe it was 2009, 2 graduate students were painfully aware of what was going on around them in the economy, and also recognized that they had a different standard of professionalism than, say, some of the other professionals. Physicians, for example, have an oath that they take.
Right.
Other professionals maybe have a license that they have to get. That there's some standard that makes a difference in terms of setting them out as benchmarking them, if you will, as a professional. But that there wasn't that same vigor for MBAs. And so they took a look at what would be the most important to them from the highest and best perspective. And if you give me just a second, I'll read you the excerpt that I included. The MBA oath, of course, is on the back side of a page that I printed. So no, I can't even look slick and go right to it, can I? All right. The quote that I shared was, as a manager, and this is from the MBA oath. As a manager, my purpose is to serve the greater good by bringing people and resources together to create value that no single individual can create alone. I will safeguard the interests of my shareholders, co-workers, customers, and the society in which we operate. I will strive to create sustainable economic, social, and environmental prosperity worldwide. So the recognition was that this could be like a Hippocratic oath, but for MBAs who had a significant and who would have a significant influence on the business of business in this country and across the world. So I really appreciated that as an outgrowth of the turmoil, the kind of cultural challenges that they observed we were facing in this country, that this was the response, that it was a positive response about what we can do, what we can really do better, and how we can contribute and hold ourselves to a higher ethical bar than maybe had been articulated in the past. I'm not saying that people in the past didn't have that standard and hold it themselves, but there hadn't been that articulation before.
Right.
And that really impressed me when I was doing my research.
I think when we write an ideal down, or a mantra, or an oath, however you want to say, it gives it more power. It's something we can look at. A creed. That's what I want to say. Creed.
Yeah, creed. That is good. I agree.
Yeah.
But as we were just talking about, when we write something down, that creates more power anyway.
Yeah.
And then we know that from what we experience with goal setting.
Right.
Just even the simple goal setting. I'm actually at a point in my evolution where I'm not real happy with the concept of setting these far out there goals, like 5 years from now, because it's too unrealistic for me.
I don't know what
exactly. That's way too far. But give me a 6 month or a year or an 18-month goal. That's a lot more reasonable and sustainable for me.
Right.
And I keep that goal in front of me and know that I'm in that striving pursuit of that goal, which allows me to function happier and more positively. So if I were if I was responsible for corporate culture, I would be shifting all of my people into that 2 years or less type of goal setting frame. Even if it was a bigger goal that they were participating in, I'd be sure that their window was really only 2 years. We might have it rolling. We might, every 6 months add another increment to it, not to sunset it and not ever get to that attaboy achievement, but just the recognition that we want to have 2 years worth of planning or striving, if you will, working our Gantt chart that way to get our accomplishments.
Yeah, for personally, what I do is I create an essence for what I want in 5 years, kind of an overall lifestyle. This is what I want for myself and my family. And then I have shorter goals for like the next year. Really, it is about that. They're actually mostly 6 months to a year. Yeah, 6 months to a year. I was just thinking of my goals. And I'm always amazed at what I end up doing and experience is even better than what I could set my goal at. You know what I mean? So we have a comment on the side. I wonder if can you see that?
Easy.
About I suspect most customers would happily have corporations violate the rights of underprivileged overseas workers to save 25 cents. Shareholders would happily see CEOs be vicious and unscrupulous in the interest of increasing market value.
We have the challenge, I believe, in corporate, and not just America, but with international corporations as well, where we say that the objective is to be as efficient and effective financially as possible without recognizing that there are some costs. And so when we just think of yourself as an employee working in a company that you felt was not treating workers, say in an international environment, in an overseas sweatshop appropriately, that individual is going to have to choose if they feel like their values align with the company enough that they can stay. And part of what I want to speak to is creating corporate cultures, truly good corporate cultures that align with the best of our human values, and not necessarily emphasize exploitation.
Right.
And recognize that exploitation is a means to an end, but not necessarily the most ethical or honorable end.
I think even on an individual basis, we make those decisions, whether we buy organic foods, sustainable coffee, that kind of thing. You know, everything that we purchase, we always have to make that choice. So it's not just corporations. I think, you know, I saw the Dalai Lama, maybe 3 years ago, and he said that peace always starts with ourselves first. And I think that's, you know, when we can be strong enough in our own ideals and values, we can then go into a corporation and infect or affect those around us, and maybe make change, not waiting for it to come from the top down, but from the bottom up too.
Absolutely. And showing up authentically as who we are with the kind of values that we bring.
Yeah.
Is, again, that alignment between what happens at the corporate and what happens with you.
Yeah.
Allows you to be a better employee.
Yeah.
And to serve better and to produce a better product as a result of everybody being aligned and on the same team.
Right.
It seems oversimplistic, and I realize that it's for some complex corporations, it might seem like it would never reach the bottom level. But I think when you have corporate leaders that truly buy in and have an appreciation for creating that positive work culture, that place where employees can thrive, where the contribution of the employee is more important, or is equally important with the quality of the product.
Right.
That's where I know I want to work. That's the kind of place I want to be part of.
Yeah.
Where there's that intentionality and that awareness.
Yeah, exactly. What was I going to say? I think, you know, those of us who've gone through the Train the Trainer program with Jack realize that changes don't happen overnight. One, we know that from just going through our own processes, but that we're actually, that's part of our mission, to go out and have some influence, to help people start thinking differently, not just say, well, this is the way it is, I got to buy into this, even though it disturbs me, so that we can have some truly
I didn't get that.
Okay. One more voice in the conversation. That's not a problem. Conversations are supposed to be.
It's just Cortana. I don't know how to turn her off. Maybe I should work on that at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably not in the middle of our blab.
That's okay. These blabs are awesome. I just love I love the informality of, because we're really authentic when we show up like this. We're, you know, we are being our authentic selves and going up, you know. And I think, you know, that's what happens in the workplace too. It's like, oh, something happens and we didn't expect, you know, get a phone call from home that, you know, the plumbing's busted or something, or, you know, all that good stuff.
Yes.
And I totally forgot what I was saying when Cortana interrupted us, but that's okay. It'll come back if it's important. Anyway, you cited a few really cool books.
I did.
In your, and it's like, oh, I want to go read them. Why did you choose the books? Name who they were that you cited, and why did you choose those particular people?
Yeah, thank you for giving me the chance to give them credit. One of the, you know, back when I was choosing a major in college, the concept of psychology and that kind of pursuit was fixing people because something was wrong. It was the disorder. We were looking for the dis-ease, the disorder. And I'm honored to say I've lived long enough that it's shifted, and we've got this huge and growing body of positive psychologists out there in our major institutions who are studying the effects of positivity in the world and realizing that by flipping the whole notion, we're learning so much more and making so much of a big difference. So one of my favorite authors in the whole world is Daniel Pink.
Mm-hmm.
And his book Drive just really rocked my world. And in contemplating, Dan's just one of these brilliant, irreverent personalities who loves studying and loves pursuing topics deeply. And he, for a period of time, spent a good portion of his research on the concept of work and career and being content in that space. And Drive was the result of that. So the notion behind Drive is, just really what makes us good in our work situation. So some of that I shared with you about the autonomy component, the fact that the carrot and the stick that we spent so much time growing up with and maybe having used on us as motivators isn't necessarily working like it worked in the past. And so that was a lot of what I learned from Dan Pink. Another author who I dearly love is a guy named Clayton Christensen. I'm holding his book up. And he wrote a book called How Will You Measure Your Life? Again, another Harvard professor. He's actually at this stage of his career writing a lot about disruption, the way that we create change. But this concept of how will you measure your life is not at the end of at the end of our life, we don't say, oh, I had this many positive performance evaluations, and it's not how much money you make, and it's not all these things that we external things that we wrap ourselves in. It's really about lining up with our values and with our mission and knowing who we are well enough that when we feel dissonance because of something that's going on either within our family or within our work environment, that we can have tools to allow us to get still and figure out where the dissonance is coming from. So as you and I were talking before, we can show up as those elegant human beings that we are, and we can make a difference. Maybe we can offer a suggestion that helps release some pressure or innovate in a way that makes a difference to our colleagues, to the company, and to ourselves. Mm-hmm. So Clayton Christensen's definitely one of my favorites. Those are two of the big ones mm-hmm. that I think I'd like to mention. Sean Acor with the Happiness Advantage and the Pursuit of Happiness. Sonia Luber-Mayeski. Forgive me.
That one.
If I butchered her last name. Of course, Jack Canfield. But Sonia's book is The Myths of Happiness. What should make you happy doesn't. And so she's just really studied, again, we make a lot of assumptions about what happiness is all about. Again, that goal achievement. And it's really not achievement at all. It's the striving. Yeah. So learning some of those subtle shifts that allow us to think differently about how we have pursued happiness in the past, and that there are ways to do it differently. And then, as I mentioned before, our mentor, Jack Canfield, there's so much in the success principles, chunking it down, goal setting, being clear why you're here, taking responsibility, 100% responsibility, yeah. All of that, comes together in a robust way, allowing us to function hopefully as our best, right. Or in our best, or at least striving to be our best.
Yeah. We have some questions about the spelling of
Sonia.
Well, that one too. You want to type both of those authors in the box?
I sure will. Give you Sonia, and she's, by the way, I think Sonia's at Stanford, and then Dan Pink is not affiliated with an organization outside of himself, and then Sean Acor was with Harvard. I don't think he's still there any longer. Am I in the right place?
Yeah, that I was looking at the spelling of her name earlier, and that was like, whoa.
Did I do it right? Lubo-Mirsky.
I'm not even going to attempt to say it.
Yeah, I probably butchered it. And then oh. So hopefully that'll help. I've got other folks in the article. So
Those three. That's
when the books comes out. Be sure and
yes,
check
when the
them
book
out.
comes out. That's right. You can get the whole list, and that
That's
was
right.
end of September for our launch. So
Very exciting.
it is exciting, and I just read Jack's forward, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yay.
And yeah, it came in the other night, and so I took time to read it yesterday. It's different than what we sent, for as a suggestion. It's much better, of course.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put words into your mentor's mouth, so. So we gave some suggestions, and he came back with something even more awesome than.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. So we'll be doing these kind of interviews from now, about once a week, once every couple of weeks from here until. And I think I'm going to try to figure out how we can do a kind of a round robin kind of a on the day of launch. Figure technology.
There's another piece of technology called Zoom.
Okay, well, we'll work on that. So, yeah.
That would allow us to do the group.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Tell me, what are you up to now? I haven't. Where's your work taking you?
I'm having a lot of fun. I have the privilege of working with Pima. I'm in Tucson, Arizona, and Pima Community College and the AARP Foundation have sponsored us. Originally we were one of 15 colleges, now we're just one of 6, where we have a program called Back to Work 50 Plus. So I'm working with people who are 50 years and older. We teach employability workshops. We assist them with everything from career planning through applying for jobs, and everything in between. And we've had really terrific success with that. It's an interesting population to serve, and one that feels very disenfranchised by the world of work, because even though we're not supposed to discriminate based on age, it is alive and well. And it's really for these folks that are trying to become reemployed. It's figuring out what to say that really emphasizes what their best skills are and why an employer would be interested in them. Then I continue to lead a networking group for professionals, highly skilled technical individuals, that as well as an underserved population, especially when they're looking for work. There's plenty of resources for folks at an entry level or just beyond entry level, but not a lot that really serves that kind of white collar individual. And so that's where I've been spending a lot of my time, in addition to doing private work with coaching individuals again in that sweet spot of career. I help people make work better in their lives and figure out what that means. And a lot of times it's not necessarily the big tweaks. It's the little things. It's just recognizing some of the subtle shifts that we've talked about, that once you kind of move into them and really explore them, make a huge difference in how satisfied one can be about that work and life. And they do go together, by the way. Hard to separate it. Try as we might.
There is no separation.
That's right.
It's like it all melds together. Like you said, when we come home at night, we remember that one incident that didn't go quite the way you wanted it to. It comes home with us, and it's like, let me just vent. Let me just get this out. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Well, I'm excited to have reconnected like this.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's been way too long.
Way too long. I think I've had that conversation with just about everybody that I've been able to. But you know what's neat? We get to do it this way. We get to,
Absolutely.
and you're really not that far away. I should maybe hop on a plane or something and come visit.
True.
Or not now because it's hot.
Well, right. I can just grab the kid. She loves the beach. So
Yeah, I was saying coming this way might work better. I'm paddleboarding now.
Oh, I think I would love that.
Oh, I used to think like, why do people want to stand on a board and just paddle around? And now I go, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would like that.
Yeah, it's really, it fits, like just chill the mind.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Are you still fishing?
Yep.
Good.
Yes, I'm still fishing. Yeah. Yeah. More on that later.
Yeah.
So, not just fishing, honey, it's fly fishing.
and it's at your edge.
Yes, at my edge. At my edge. And the edge keeps getting bigger and broader, but it's fun. It's fun. So, any last words?
I don't have any last words other
We
than
covered lots of ground.
we sure did. The secret to quality retention is creating a culture where employees feel called to their vocation in service to your company. So if I'm speaking to someone who hires people, it's going back to the importance of aligning the individual with the company and having that sweet spot be where the heart happens, where positivity happens, where the best of the corporate world comes together in this kind of delightful growth opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's my close. It's that heart of the vocare, the vocation.
Yeah, the heart of employee engagement. Positivity works, the heart of employee engagement. Lynden Kidd, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Kathy Sparrow. It's been really fun. Thank you.
It has been fun. And you're welcome. And good luck with everything. And we'll be in touch soon.
And I'm off to the ballpark.
Oh, have fun.
The game starts at 5.
All right. Well,
and we're in the state tournament. So
awesome.
Thank you. I got my priorities straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Priorities are important.
Yeah. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Thank
it was a
you.
Lovely opportunity, and invite me back.
I will. I will. Yes, my pleasure. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
So you can just hang up.
Hang up.